Hello everybody, it is Wednesday the 24th of May. I want to be talking about channeling, this heightened state of awareness that we seem to be going through, and the awakening, and what I feel, what I think might be happening to us in this heightened state of awareness. And I can hear people talking about it, especially channeling. And that is, I've heard one person say, I seem to have become a seer. That is to say, he can see things outside of this reality, outside of what we are normally reading, and outside of what our rational mind would normally give form. So it's starting to give form to something that did not have form in this world before. That is really bringing heaven to earth. Making the unseen seen. And just through the comments yesterday, and again when I'm saying it, it actually becomes more clear to me when I think about it afterwards, what actually came out of my mouth. So there's what I think is is happening at the moment, and there are some real pitfalls to that again. This evolution of ours that is happening at the moment is not going to be at all straightforward. Very few things in life are. So, okay, so let's start with what we're actually doing when we're channeling. And that is a heightened awareness of energies that are around us. They are always there. And we're always being moved by them. Energies that we create ourselves, and energies that impact us from outside. And really, if you think about it purely as like anger or fear, which is at the moment, there's a lot of that about. And if you think that those energies move you in a way as if a solid pair of hands is actually pushing you, so they have a very strong impact on you and they move you forward. So what becoming more aware of the underlying forces that are actually creating this outcome through us. We are the ones that are creating the outcomes, but that is what is moving us. So becoming a seer, as a person said, I'm becoming a seer, would mean you're going to a level where not only can you feel these forces, and an empath is already on the way to that state, where they can actually physically feel the energies that are in a room. It's being impacted by them to that extent. But then if you become a seer, that means that your rational mind is actually starting to give those energies that you feel a form. And that is actually the two coming together. Creating a form. So then you have eyes to see. And you can go maybe further, and you start having conversations, so to speak, with those energies that you're reading, in which case you have ears to hear. But let's just start with eyes to see, because there's actually the first pitfall. And that is what is creating the form. I just want to give you a few examples of how our judgment of what it is we are seeing could be a bit skewed if we are not aware of ourselves. Because it is us, it is our association with something that is creating the form. Because in the first instance, we're just feeling something. And then we're likening it onto something that we already know in this world, because it is not a visible part of this world in normal circumstances. So I want to give you a few examples. The form of a demon. Yeah, if you see something and you associate that with a negative force, so your rational mind would give that the form of a demon. That is how all these pictures came about. You know, that of angels and demons and light beings and reptilians. I'll come to that later. People with eyes to see. Right, so you're associating something with a negative force. So you would give it the picture of a demon. Now I'll give you an example here. If you see a guy lying on the floor with 3 people on top of him, and actually forcefully holding him down and hurting him, most likely, then that is a restraining force. Now, why are they holding that guy down? Yeah, if it is because they want to exert their power over him, yeah, they want to subdue him, they might want to steal from him, then it is negative, obviously. But what if that guy was about to jump off a cliff? Yeah? And people are trying to restrain him, to hold him back. It's the same force, and they're probably hurting him as well. But it's done out of love. It's done with the intention to save. So, you see, if you just read the force without knowing the intention behind it, then you see a demon and you automatically think it's something negative. And it might not be. It may not be negative at all. It will be a restraining force, yes, and for most of us we associate restraining forces with something negative, but the intention may not be negative at all. It might be trying to hold you back because it's trying to save you. But if it is a restraining force, it is what it is. That is what it does. So there the picture cannot actually tell you the intention. And then you could read this completely wrong. Another example is an example I heard of light beings. Beautiful lights. And I heard the actions that those light beings did. Yeah, this guy saw the light beings putting stuff onto 6 children, drizzling something, and how the children really reacted to it very well. To me, since there was actually no healing in that place, it sounded to me like they were given a drug. Yeah, so if there's a positive effect without there actually being healing, then that is giving a drug to suppress the pain. Which, of course, we all know that if you do that, the pain is not actually going away, you just can't feel it anymore. And it's certainly not doing anything toward the healing process. So then, with what intention would these beings suppress the feeling of pain? When the pain is still there, just no longer felt. We've heard of energy vampires, that feed on the pain. So if the pain is actually not being alleviated, but just suppressed, or they can't feel it anymore, pain to feed off, would actually still be there. Now, why would somebody read a being like that, an intention like that, as light? Well, I know for a fact that the person that is talking about this, that is a former drug addict. So then somewhere deep down, that person may still associate this feeling of intoxication as something positive. Even if he thinks he's gone over it or something, or he's no longer doing it, but somewhere deep down there might be still something that is associating this feeling with, light, beautiful feeling, great feeling. And it would be that association that is creating the form of the being. That does not mean that is a good being at all. See, that is why we need to have the knowledge of ourselves in order to go that path. Because we are the ones that are creating the form out of some knowledge of, inside of ourselves. Reptilians, third example. Again, people seem to be getting eyes to see. They're seeing these reptilian forms attached to people. Again, play association game. What would you think when you see a reptile? You would think, well, cold-blooded, cold, not very emotional, not very slow to move. Yeah, slow to move, although they can, at a time, suddenly snap out. They're very well capable of that. A form of intelligence, stuff like that. If you sense something like that, on an intuitive level or on a feeling level, or something like that, and you'd give it a reptilian form. Again, all those qualities in a reptilian form does not necessarily mean they're bad. Again, it depends on their intention. That is what they are like. Yeah, that is what their being is like. That does not necessarily mean bad intentions. Because a lot of us don't like reptiles, so there would be another negative association that might not actually be there. So, and then the last thing, when we're talking, what I've talked about before now, would be actually consciousnesses that have a level of will of their own. They're actually creating outcomes out of their own will. And I'm beginning to believe, that there are consciousnesses out there that we don't know yet, but they are real. And they are beings, conscious beings. So what I said before would be on that level of a conscious being, but if you see something like an angel, that is again reading an energy, but that is only a messenger. Yeah? So understanding in this world would be fear bringing a message of danger, anger, a message of injustice, sadness is pointing to loss, and so on and so forth. So again, if you were to give these energies, which are really real energies that do move you, if you were to start giving them a form, actually maybe going through empathy into an even greater state of awareness to the point where you're given it form, where it becomes so real to you that it becomes form. So, the form of an angel, then you must be aware that that is only a messenger. Yeah, it has not got a will of its own. That is, again, you're then actually dealing with a force that is pretty unconscious, but that is doing the works of something else. It's bringing the message from God, we say God, but that is an intention. There's an intention somewhere, a conscious intention that is sending you a message. And again, it depends on the intention, what the meaning of the angel will actually be. So I said before, if the intention is based on greed, on making money, then good and bad becomes that which makes money, or doesn't make money, loses you money. That's what good and bad becomes according to the intention. And then if as I say, a consciousness that has got an intention, sending a messenger of there's danger, there is injustice, but then you have to ask, according to what? According to what is that dangerous? According to what is that unjust? See, there's so many things we must understand. Just going in there and saying, oh, I can see now, and I'm telling you all about light beings and how beautiful they are, and make everybody see the world through your eyes, pretty much, because that's what you're doing, without actually being aware what it is you're preaching, because you don't really understand it yourself. You do not have knowledge of yourself and what association you would have formed to create that picture. Yeah, and good and bad may not be that at all. It's just out of your own knowing, which might be screwed to start with. So that's really the complete pitfalls of what it is we're doing in this heightened state of awareness. And at the moment, I mean, it might be happening against our own better judgment. Again, there is an energy that makes stronger what is naturally there already. So if you are an empath, you were an empath, you know, and it heightens that which you are, then you are being driven down that path, because that's what's being energized. But you know, you really would need to know what it is you're doing, what it is you're looking at, how it is produced, and then really, in most cases, go beyond the action that you can feel and see, but go to the level of intention. What is it intended to do? You know, a restraining force is not necessarily bad, although you might give it a form of a demon because of your association. So, and then really, the further out you go, the further out you're channeling, the less I think you will understand what it is you're dealing with. Because, and here really comes dimensions. And you must read the word dimensions in different aspects. Yeah, as different aspects. So the further out you go, the more different whatever it is you're channeling is from you. Then the smaller your understanding will become, because you're understanding out of a knowledge of yourself. And the more you can go wrong. Because there might be aspects in that being that, although those aspects are in you, you're not using them and you're not overly aware of them. And here's like this God that wants to have dominion. That aspect is in us, obviously, and it serves us in situations where we have to get the upper hand of something. Yeah, there it serves us. But in us, it's not all. It's far from all in a normally well-balanced human being. But if you're channeling something where that aspect has become all, because they are also conscious beings that can create themselves. And they have created themselves in a way that that aspect has become so strong that, or has even become all, or most of themselves. Again, there's an understanding of what it is you're dealing with. And then you must really have a knowledge of good and bad. Do you think that's good? Have a judgment on that before you take in what they're telling you out of their perspective. So I said, this is not going to be easy at all. This is be completely complicated. But as I said before, to use your energy body, to start becoming aware of your surroundings on that level where it actually takes form. Well, I would say for a baby, when it's sitting there trying to figure out what its hands are and how to use them, to the point where they can use their hands in a coordinated way, and they can use their feet in a coordinated way, and they can start walk and do stuff, that's a complicated process. It's not an easy process. It takes time, for a baby to be able to use its body in a coordinated way. And it will be the same with our energy body. We're babies again, whenever that happens to us. And that is, again, something we must be aware of. Not, I am now a seer, I'm this great being that is now has the knowledge of something else. No, you are a baby again that's doing the next step. And you have to learn what it is you're doing and what it is you're looking at. And again, most important is the knowledge of ourselves. Most important. Because we are the ones that are making the associations that are creating the forms. And we could actually be deceived by our own associations because we are not aware of them. Anyway, I leave it at that for today, and I talk to you again soon. Bye.